There's a story of a man who once started a business and failed. Then he started another and failed again. Then he tried his hand in politics and was defeated. He loved someone deeply, but was heartbroken. And even after all these setbacks, he kept moving forward. That man was Abraham Lincoln, who eventually became one of the most revered presidents in history. Why? Because his failures didn't define him. His response to them did. All of us stumble. We fall, we break, we get rejected, we get embarrassed. But remember this, failing doesn't make you a failure. It makes you human. The problem is not falling, the problem is staying down. Imagine a child learning to walk. They fall 100 times, but they never say, "No, walking is not for me." They simply try again. Why? Because they haven't yet learned to be embarrassed by failure. They haven't been conditioned to believe that failing means something is wrong with them. But as adults, we take one failure and start labeling ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm a loser. I can't do it. But your value is not based on one test, one rejection, one mistake, or even a series of them. Failures are feedback. They're not roadblocks. They're redirections. Maybe what you wanted wasn't meant for you. Maybe life had a bigger plan. Maybe you weren't ready then, but you're growing now. Think of the seed buried in the soil. In the darkness, it looks like nothing's happening. But in truth, it's getting ready to sprout. Your failure isn't the end. It's a pause, a moment to regroup, to plant deeper roots before rising. So, if today you feel lost, defeated, or disappointed, don't quit. Reflect, learn, and most importantly, keep going. You are not your failure. You are your courage. You are your perseverance. You are your comeback. Everyone who has ever accomplished something great has first tasted the bitterness of failure. It's easy to look at successful people and assume their path was smooth. But the truth often hides behind closed doors. The world's most admired figures, whether entrepreneurs, athletes, inventors, or artists, didn't rise because they never failed. They rose because they understood that failure was not a wall, but a stepping stone. It was not the end of the road, but a curve on the path. We tend to romanticize success as though it happens overnight, forgetting the sleepless nights, broken dreams, and quiet tears that often come before the applause. What separates those who move forward from those who give up is not luck or talent, but an internal voice that whispers, "Try again." When we view failure as a final verdict, we lose sight of the bigger picture. We shrink ourselves into the moment and forget that this is just one chapter in a much larger story. Every failure carries within it a hidden message, a silent invitation to rise again, to improve, to rethink, to rebuild. It's not just a setback, it's an opportunity in disguise. The pain may sting, but the wisdom it offers is invaluable. It's during failure that your resilience is built, your patience is tested, your strength is forged. So when failure visits you, and it will, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it. Understand what it's trying to teach you. and then stand back up with new insight and deeper strength. Because failing is a part of the journey. It doesn't mean you're unworthy of success. It simply means you're walking the same path every strong soul has walked before you. Keep going. Failing at something does not mean that you as a person are a failure. But the problem is many people internalize their setbacks. When things don't go according to plan, they don't just say, "This task didn't work out." They say, "I am not good enough. I am incapable. Don't deserve better." That's when failure becomes dangerous. Not because of the mistake itself but because of the meaning we attach to it. We begin to confuse an event with our identity. And that confusion is what so many people back from ever trying again. Let's say you failed an exam, or your business didn't take off, or you got rejected by someone you loved. Those things are painful. They hurt. But they are experiences, not definitions of who you are. You might have lost, but you're not a loser. You might have made a poor decision, but that doesn't mean you're a bad person. You might have been weak in a moment, but it doesn't make you permanently broken. Life is not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be aware, to grow, to transform. And ironically, transformation rarely happens in moments of success. It happens in the mess. When you fall apart, when you feel defeated, when you doubt yourself, that's where the real work begins. That's where your self-worth is tested. Not so it can be destroyed, but so it can be rebuilt on a stronger foundation. If you can learn to separate your identity from your failures, you will set yourself free. You'll no longer be burdened by guilt, shame, or the need to constantly prove yourself. You'll start to understand that you're worthy, not because of what you achieve, but because of who you are, and because of the effort you continue to make despite the setbacks. Don't let one moment define your entire story. You're far more complex, more layered, more beautiful than any single chapter. You are not your mistakes. You are the courage it takes to face them, learn from them, and keep going. A child learning to walk is one of the purest examples of persistence. They stumble, fall, bump their heads, cry, and sometimes even get hurt. But they always get back up. Not once does a child say, "Maybe walking just isn't for me." Not once do they doubt their worth, their ability, or their purpose. They try again and again and again until they eventually take those first magical steps. Why? Because they haven't yet learned to be ashamed of falling. They haven't been told that failure means they're not good enough. They simply believe that falling is a part of learning. Now contrast that with how we, as adults, approach failure. The moment we fall, whether in a job, relationship, project, or dream, we immediately start questioning ourselves. We feel embarrassed, defeated, and often tell ourselves a very damaging story. Maybe I'm not meant for this. But the truth is, we were never supposed to stop being learners. We were never meant to stop falling. Growing up doesn't mean giving up on learning. It means becoming even more aware, even more resilient, and even more determined to keep trying, just like that child. Being they. The reason children progress so fast is because they don't carry the burden of shame or fear of judgment. They don't overthink. They just do. They don't avoid the fall. They embrace it. Because somewhere deep in their being, they trust that falling is necessary for walking. That same wisdom is still within us. It's just been buried under layers of fear, self-doubt, and the expectations of society. Imagine how much more we could achieve if we adopted the same fearless spirit. If we treated every failure not as a final result, but as part of the process. If we gave ourselves permission to fall without labeling ourselves negatively. Progress isn't always visible in the moment. But every time we try again, we're getting closer. Every step matters, even the wobbly ones. We must remember that just as a child trusts their ability to eventually stand, we too must trust ourselves. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Because the moment you choose to rise after a fall, you reclaim your strength. You tap back into the most natural and powerful part of your being, the will to grow, and the desire to become more, and the belief that falling is never the end. It's just the beginning of standing tall. The way you respond to failure reveals more about who you are than the failure itself ever could. It's easy to stay strong when everything is going right, when success is flowing and support surrounds you. But who are you when things go wrong? When no one is watching. When disappointment hits you in the chest like a wave you didn't see coming. That's where your character is tested, not in comfort, but in crisis. And your response in that moment can either define your downfall or shape your breakthrough. Some people fail once and decide they're not capable. Others fail 10 times and still stand back up with the same fire in their eyes. What separates them isn't talent, money, or education. It's resilience. It's that quiet decision deep inside that says, this won't be the end of me. You don't need to be the smartest or the fastest. You just need to keep showing up, especially when everything inside you says, why bother? Life will throw things at you that you didn't plan for. It will challenge your patience, test your endurance, and stretch your faith. But in those very moments, you're being given a choice, not just to succeed or fail, but to shrink or rise, to give up or grow stronger, and no one can make that choice for you. It must come from within. Your reaction to failure doesn't just impact your future. It shapes your mindset, your habits, and your emotional strength. When you choose to respond with courage, you begin to redefine what failure even means. It no longer becomes something to fear. It becomes something to learn from, to grow through, and even to appreciate, because it's teaching you something success never could. There's a saying, you can't control the storm, but you can control how you sail through it. In the same way, you can't always prevent failure, but you can absolutely choose how you respond to it. Will you let it break you, or will you allow it to build you? Because in every breakdown, there's a potential for a breakthrough. And every time you choose courage over comfort, you prove that your spirit is stronger than your setbacks. Sometimes what we desperately want is not what we truly need. We chase opportunities, people, dreams, and outcomes, convinced that they are the only way to happiness or success. And when we don't get them, when we're rejected, denied, or blocked, it feels like failure. It feels like the universe is closing doors on us, like life is being unfair. But often rejection is not a punishment. It's protection. It's not an ending. It's a redirection. There are moments in life when the very thing we thought would make us happy turns out to be the thing that was holding us back. But we only see that in hindsight. At the time, all we see is loss, pain, and confusion. Why didn't it work out? Why did it fall apart? Why did they leave? But with time, when we look back, we often realize we were being guided. We were being saved from something we couldn't see at the moment. Whether it was a toxic relationship, an unhealthy job, a wrong path, or a smaller dream that was not meant to contain the fullness of who we are becoming. Rejection can feel personal. It can feel like we're not good enough, not talented enough, or not worthy. But rejection often has nothing to do with our worth and everything to do with timing. Alignment and direction. Life has its own rhythm, its own timing, and its own understanding of where we need to be. And many times the delay or denial you face is simply a way of clearing the path for something greater. Think of a GPS. When you take a wrong turn, it doesn't scream at you or give up. It recalculates and gives you a new route. Life works in a similar way. Every setback is a rerouting, every failure a detour, not a dead end. The problem is we're so focused on the destination, we imagined that we miss the beauty of the one that's unfolding. When something doesn't go your way, don't be so quick to label it as failure. Take a step back, reflect, ask, what is life trying to teach me here? What might this be redirecting me towards? Because in that pause, you often discover that what you thought was a loss was actually a blessing in disguise. Something that felt like rejection was life's way of saying, not this. Something better. The people who go far in life are not the ones who always get what they want, but the ones who trust the journey even when it doesn't go according to their plan. They embrace rejection as a necessary part of redirection, and they learn to keep walking knowing that just beyond that closed door may be an open one, leading to something far greater than they had imagined. Growth doesn't always happen in loud, obvious moments. It doesn't always come with applause, the recognition, or celebration. Sometimes growth happens in complete silence, behind closed doors, when no one is watching and everything feels like it's falling apart. It happens in the darkness, in the quiet struggle, when you're questioning everything but still choosing to move forward. Just like a seed buried deep in the soil, hidden away from sight. Your transformation is taking place where no one can see it. When a seed is planted, nothing seems to happen at first. The surface looks unchanged. If you didn't know better, you might even think the seed had died. But deep within the soil, something powerful is occurring. The seed is breaking open, its shell cracking apart, so the roots can begin to grow. It's a painful process. It's messy, slow, and invisible. But it's essential. Because without that darkness, without that pressure and isolation, the seed could never become a tree. We live in a world that glorifies quick results and instant success. But real growth, the kind that changes your character, strengthens your soul, and prepares you for something meaningful, doesn't happen instantly. It takes time. It requires patience. It demands quiet perseverance in the middle of confusion, doubt, and discomfort. You may not see immediate results, but that doesn't mean you're not progressing Sometimes the most profound inner development occurs when the outer world looks completely still. There will be phases in your life where it feels like nothing is working. You might feel stuck, unsure, or lost. But those moments are not wasted. They are sacred. They are the seasons where your roots are going deeper, anchoring you, preparing you to rise higher than ever before. Just because the flower hasn't bloomed yet means the seed isn't doing its work. It's important to learn to trust the unseen, to believe in the value of the struggle even when it offers no visible rewards. In the darkness, you are learning endurance. You are building emotional strength. You are gaining wisdom and resilience that will carry you through everything that's to come. You're discovering who you really are, not based on results or recognition, but on your ability to endure and grow in silence. So when life places you in a quiet season, don't rush to escape it. Don't curse the soil. Instead, allow yourself to grow through it. Because the day will come when you break through the surface, and people may be amazed by your strength, your wisdom, your calm confidence. But you'll know it was earned in the depths, in the silence, and in the dark. Growth doesn't always happen in loud, obvious moments. It doesn't always come with applause, recognition, or celebration. Sometimes growth happens in complete silence, behind closed doors, when no one is watching and everything feels like it's falling apart. It happens in the darkness, in the quiet struggle, when you're questioning everything but still choosing to move forward. Just like a seed buried deep in the soil, hidden away from sight, your transformation is taking place where no one can see it. When a seed is planted, nothing seems to happen at first. The surface looks unchanged. If you didn't know better, you might even think the seed had died. But deep within the soil, something powerful is occurring in thee. The seed is breaking open, its shell cracking apart, so the roots can begin to grow. It's a painful process. It's messy, slow, and invisible. But it's essential. Because without that darkness, without that pressure and isolation, the seed could never become a tree. We live in a world that glorifies quick results and instant success. But real growth, the kind that changes your character, strengthens your soul, and prepares you for something meaningful, doesn't happen instantly. It takes time. It requires patience. It demands quiet perseverance in the middle of confusion, doubt, and discomfort. You may not see immediate results, but that doesn't mean you're not progressing. Sometimes the most profound inner development occurs when the outer world looks completely still. There will be phases in your life where it feels like nothing is working. You might feel stuck, unsure, or lost. But those moments are not wasted. They are sacred. They are the seasons where your roots were going deeper, anchoring you, preparing you to rise higher than ever before. Just because the flower hasn't bloomed yet doesn't mean the seed isn't doing its work. It's important to learn to trust the unseen, to believe in the value of the struggle, even when it offers no visible rewards. In the darkness, you are learning endurance. You are building emotional strength. You are gaining wisdom and resilience that will carry you through everything that's to come. You are discovering who you really are, not based on results or recognition, but on your ability to endure and grow in silence. So when life places you in a quiet season, don't rush to escape it. Don't curse the soil. Instead, allow yourself to grow through it because the day will come when you break through the surface, and people may be amazed by your strength, your wisdom, your calm confidence. But you'll know it was earned in the depths, in the silence, and in the dark. In every difficult situation, you are always presented with a choice, either to give up or to grow, either to remain stuck or to rise stronger. And that choice, though it may seem small in the moment, carries immense power. It's easy to believe that we're victims of our circumstances, that we have no control over what's happening around us. But while we may not be able to control every event, we are always in control of how we respond to it. And that response, whether we choose to let a setback define us or refine us, is what truly shapes our destiny. When things go wrong, most people immediately retreat. They shut down emotionally, mentally, sometimes even physically. They begin to lower their expectations. They tell themselves stories like, maybe I'm not meant for more, or maybe this is just my fate. But those thoughts are not truths. They are emotional reactions that come from fear and fatigue. In that vulnerable state, your mind tries to protect you by convincing you to stop trying. But real protection doesn't come from giving up. It comes from growing up through your challenges. Choosing to grow means you look at a difficult experience and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? It means you don't let a failure become your identity, but instead, you let it become your instructor. Growth requires courage. It demands patience. It calls for uncomfortable honesty and the willingness to stretch beyond what feels familiar. Sometimes that means facing your own flaws. Sometimes it means making peace with your past. Sometimes it simply means taking one step forward, even when your entire body wants to turn back. The truth is, growth is rarely glamorous. It's not always about big victories or dramatic transformations. More often, it's about subtle shifts. Choosing to be kind when you're angry, choosing to keep moving when you're tired, choosing to believe in yourself when no one else seems to. These small, quiet decisions compound over time, and before you even realize it, you become stronger, wiser, more grounded, not because life became easier, but because you became better at facing it. The choice to grow is available to you every single day. In the midst of your frustration, in the middle of your failure, in the silence of your doubt, it's not a one-time decision, it's a mindset, a way of being. You decide again and again to take the pain and turn it into power. You decide to rise, not because the world is cheering you on, but because deep down, you know you were made for more. You were not built to stay stuck. You were built to evolve. And each time you choose growth over surrender, you come closer to becoming the version of yourself that your past self once dreamed of. Every great success story is built on a foundation of failure. Though we often only see the highlight reel, the achievements, the awards, the applause, what we don't see are the long nights filled with self-doubt, the tears behind closed doors, the moments of rejection, and the silent battles that shaped those victories. Success rarely comes without setbacks. In fact, the people we most admire, the innovators, the artists, the leaders, the athletes, have all stumbled, sometimes repeatedly, But what sets them apart is that they didn't let those stumbles stop them. They used them. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey to it. Think of someone like Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before finally inventing the light bulb. Or J.K. Rowling, who was rejected by multiple publishers before Harry Potter ever reached a single bookshelf. Or Michael Jordan, who was once cut from his high school basketball team. These are not just trivia facts. They're proof that failure doesn't disqualify you. It prepares you. It teaches you what no classroom ever could. Grit, humility, resilience, creativity, and hunger. There's a false belief that if you are truly meant for something, it would come easily. But anything meaningful, anything lasting, requires effort. It requires trials and errors, heartbreaks and headaches. Because success that comes without struggle often doesn't last. And more importantly, it doesn't shape you. Failure is what deepens your character. It sharpens your focus. It reminds you why you started. It removes the fluff and forces you to recommit with deeper purpose. The people who go the furthest are not necessarily the most gifted or the most privileged. They are often the ones who refuse to stay down. They are the ones who fell hard, but instead of letting failure define them, they let it refine them. They didn't treat failure as an end. They treated it as a step. Every setback became a lesson. Every delay, a moment to adjust. Every rejection, a push to find a better way. That's what transforms ordinary people into legends. Success isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about walking forward, even with scraped knees. It's about showing up again and again, not because it's easy, but because something deep within you knows you're not finished yet. And the truth is, the road to your dreams will have potholes. You'll make mistakes. People will doubt you. Sometimes AO will doubt you in the. But if you can embrace those failures as essential building blocks of your story, you'll realize that they're not just part of your past. They're the very reason you'll succeed in the future. Because those who rise again and again become unstoppable. Not in the absence of failure, but because of the fire that failure lit inside them. We often place too much emphasis on the final outcome. The goal, the destination, the achievement, thinking that our worth and fulfillment lies solely in crossing the finish line. But in truth, the journey matters far more than the result. It's not just about reaching a milestone. It's about who you become along the way. The growth, the wisdom, the transformation you experience in the process is where the real value lies. Success is not a single moment. It's a collection of choices, efforts, and lessons that shape you over time. In our culture, outcomes are celebrated. Trophies are awarded. Titles are recognized. But very few people see the path that led to those moments. The quiet sacrifices, the sleepless nights, the internal battles, and the days when motivation was nowhere to be found, but the work continued anyway. Those hidden parts of the journey are the most powerful. They are where resilience is born. They are where character is tested and courage is forged. The destination may be the reward, but the journey is the training ground that makes you ready to receive it. When you fall in love with the process, when you start to value the struggle, the repetition, the small wins, you unlock a deeper sense of fulfillment because outcomes are temporary but the growth you experience during the journey stays with you forever. You may achieve a goal and celebrate for a day but the strength you didn't get there will serve you for a lifetime. That's why it's important not to rush through the hard parts or skip the messy middle. That's where the real magic is happening, even if you can't see it yet. There will be days when it feels like nothing is changing, like you're putting in effort but not seeing progress. Those are the moments when people are most tempted to quit. But that's also when you're often closest to a breakthrough. Progress doesn't always shout. It whispers. And only those who stay on the path long enough begin to understand its language. Life is not about racing to some imagined finish line. It's about walking your path with intention, with presence, and with purpose. When you shift your focus from the end result to the daily effort, something powerful happens. You stop tying your happiness to someday and begin finding meaning in you today. And when that happens, every step, even the hard ones, starts to feel worthwhile. The people who live fully aren't just those who succeed. They are those who stayed committed, even when success seemed distant. They are the ones who kept going, not just for the prize, but for the person they were becoming along the way. Because in the end, the journey doesn't just lead you to your goal. It transforms you into someone who's worthy of it.